The Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD, comprises most of the world's developed democracies, and it's holding its Council of Ministers this week in Paris, with a special meeting addressing the climate change crisis under the title Shared Values, Building a Green and Inclusive Future. Now, Israel, as a global center of innovative technology, certainly has much to offer in this field and is being represented there in Paris by Energy Minister Karine El-Harar, who joins us now from France. Minister El-Harar, thanks for joining us. What can Israel offer there at that conference in the potential for green energy? And what can you learn or take from there?
Hi, good evening. Great to be with you. Well, as you mentioned earlier, the innovation in Israel, the knowledge, the high tech is very much helpful when you want to go from fossil fuels to other energy, green energy. And I think that we have great companies in Israel. I've met some of them last week with our Prime Minister, and we really want to accelerate and help them to develop many startups so we can bring the word to the world and to help to help other countries to get greener and to have good energy.
Right. Now, certainly the potential is there with that technology, but so far, I'm not sure what kind of grade to give Israel. Only about 6% last year of its energy came from renewable sources. The government set a very ambitious program of raising that to some 30% by 10% still to come. Where is the potential? How are you going to develop that potential to meet the targets that have been set?
It's a good question. Since I entered the office 3 months ago, the top priority of the office is renewable energy, and I'm having meetings every 2 weeks with the electricity company and with other companies that are related in order to have the 30% by 2030. I think that it's an ambitious goal, but we can do it. And I think with the new innovations, maybe it can be helpful to reach this goal.
Right, but in the meantime, Israel is still in the fossil fuel business. And the government's going to have to make some big decisions, how much to develop the natural gas reserves offshore, whether to allow the building of a pipeline for oil and gas from the Gulf through Israel. Could you address those? And really, the bigger question, should Israel still be in the fossil fuel business?
That's the $1 million question, and we're still thinking about it. We must admit that we can see other countries, European countries these days, they have energy crisis. The gas prices are ranking, and we need energy. Until we get renewable energies, we need some sort of energy in order for everybody to have electricity. So it's not an easy question. It's something that we should really consider and do all the calculation, whether we can at once stop drilling for gas. It's look, for example, in England, they don't have any gas, and they're starting to use more carbon. That is something that I think is worse than using gas at this time.
Right, and Israel once used coal, certainly was a big pollution. Now, to meet these renewable energy targets, it's not enough of what the energy ministry is doing. You need help from other parties in this government, ministries like the defense ministry, the transportation ministry. Do you feel the government is on one mind about shifting Israel to renewable energy in a serious way?
Yes, definitely. Since the new coalition, the unity government, Bennett-Lapid's government, we are working in cooperation with all the ministries, and we share the same goal to reduce carbon, reduce gas emission, and we think very similar on that issue. And I think that working together, all the ministers, we can definitely reach the goal.
Now, you talk about Israel. We said we're in the fossil fuel business. This is a region that in many ways is built around fossil fuels. How much cooperation are you finding from Israel's neighbors that it has, those it has relations with, in, for example, shifting to more renewable energies?
We are very much thinking of collaboration with our neighbors in order to have more renewable energies. Israel is a very small country without a big source of vacant fields that we can put solar on it, but our neighbors have a lot of field, so maybe we can connect to the and buy energies, electricity from our neighbor, and hence we will have renewable energies from being cooperative with our neighbors.
Right. Now, there have been big plans in Israel, especially, to shift towards, for example, electric vehicles. Unfortunately, we've seen some major attempts to do that falter. It's still a waiting list if you want to buy a car that at least even partially runs on electricity. Can you specifically address that? How is Israel, how is your government going to make that easier?
Well, for instance, in this coming budget, we have a regulation that will cut off half of the price of the batteries, the lithium batteries for electricity cars. So I think that it's a way to promote more usage of electricity cars, and I hope it will encourage people to use them rather than other cars that are working with fuel.
Right. Now, let's talk a little about the world, because there are reports coming out that the world actually went backwards during the coronavirus pandemic for various reasons, from shifting to renewable energies. What are you hearing there, or at the conference, or what have you heard even going into it about more, how optimistic you are about the global effort?
I think that hearing today my colleagues' speeches, I'm very much sure that we share the same values and the same goals. And I think that collaboration between our countries can make definitely a greener and better future.
All right, Karine El-Harar, we thank you for joining us on i24 News. We wish you the best, and it's going to be quite still a long haul to reach that, as you said, 30% by 2030. So that's a lot of work still to be done as the decade rolls on. Thank you for joining us on i24 News.
That's our goal, and maybe. Thank you.
Well, we'll check in from time to time to see how the government is doing. Thanks for joining us.